One of the craziest stories of the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Columbus Blue Jackets sweeping the Tampa Bay Lightning, but it is a new season starting in October, and there have been a lot of changes for Columbus. Gustav Nyquist, the addition, but look at the subtractions. Those are some huge names. Bobrovsky, Duchesne, Dzingel, Kincaid, and Panarin all saying goodbye to their time in Columbus. That begs the question, what do we make of the offseason moves by the Blue Jackets, and where does that leave them for this season going forward?
Look, I'm not ready to write them off like some people are. Obviously, you're missing some key pieces. And look no further than in goal, Bobrovsky, who is one of the elite, has been one of the elite goaltenders in the league. Certainly in the regular season. We know he's had struggles at times in the playoffs, but one of the best during the season for the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we know the importance of goaltending. I don't care how good your team is. Obviously, that is going to be the big question mark for me. Can these guys get it? John Korpisalo, look at his save percentage, was near the bottom of the league last year. Didn't play a whole lot, so he's shown that has some ability and can win hockey games for you. But now stepping up to a number one role, and who knows as far as the backup. I mean, they have to look at a couple of other guys as well along the way and see who's possible there as far as a tandem, or go out and find somebody. It's going to be interesting. That where is the question mark for me. I'm not saying a goaltender can't step up. Look what Jordan Binnington did.
Sure.
We know that, right? But a big hole is left when you had the one constant in Bobrovsky. And yes, when you lose your leading goal scorer in Artemi Panarin, that's a big hole to fill.
Right.
And then not to mention Matt Duchesne, who was terrific for them in the playoffs. They tried to get him signed to a contract, didn't work out. So Columbus has got some question marks going into the season. But I'm always a believer. Don't write anybody off just yet. They've got some pretty darn good players. They got a real good defense, certainly. And they're young, they're core.
That's what I was going to ask you.
We will see.
It was one man's departure is another man's opportunity. And if there's one guy who can be known to perhaps motivate some players, young players especially, it would be John Tortorella. So do you think that when you look at some of these names that they might end up being a surprising team at the end of things?
Well, I think they're going to have to be. I mean, you still look. There's talent there, but some of these young guys, some of their prospects, they've got a pretty good prospect pool, are going to have to come out of nowhere. So many organizations, they talk about, well, we've got our lineup set. Well, we don't know what this guy's going to accomplish. Well, some guys have to step right up and overachieve, I guess you would say, or guys that we don't know much about, per se, a Texier who came in and played pretty good hockey for him, had a surge of offense for them, and then things settle in and you go through your ups and downs. So he ended up getting sat in some of the playoff games afterwards. But these are the young prospects that have to get that opportunity eventually. No. Are you going to be Artemi Panarin? Certainly not, but you can get it done other ways. You can do it collectively if your young guys step up. You know, Sonny Milano, I know he went through a little off-season problem. Here's a kid that's shown in a short span that he can provide offense as well. So who knows who's it going to be, but they've got some good, young, talented players that are going to have to take that next step. And I'm sure Columbus isn't done as retooling as well. They're going to look at, some of the free agents that haven't been signed yet that maybe can fill a void for them. But the big question mark for me is in goal. And if they don't solidify that, or if Korpisalo is incapable of being that number one guy, then it's going to be tough for any team to overcome if he doesn't perform somewhat. I'm not going to say he has to be Bobrovsky, but he's got to give them a chance to win. But I still love a lot of their pieces there. I mean, the Flinos and the Andersons.
And they did add
Bjorkstrand
Nyquist. Do you like that?
They added Gustav Nyquist to ease some of the pain of losing Panarin, losing Matt Duchesne. Well, he played terrific, too, for the San Jose Sharks. He's a offensive producer. He's a guy that, is going to create plays. He's hungry. He's motivated. He's 25 goal scorer. A guy that's going to play in big situations, and he did a real good job for the San Jose Sharks. We know what he did in Detroit. He was one of their top players for many years. So I think they feel that he can step right in and kind of fill a void that's missing. No, he's maybe not Panarin. Not many players are, and that's why Panarin got $11.5 million or so, right, to play with the New York Rangers. It's going to be interesting to see, does Columbus slip a little bit because of what they lost? You would think that, but I'm one of those guys that says just put the brakes on that. I don't say right away that they're not going to be a team that's going to be in the playoffs because there's still a lot of good pieces there.
Yeah, you mentioned Panarin. What do you expect the reception to be like that first game back in the same division when he comes back as a Ranger to play in Columbus?
Well, like any passionate fan base, they're going to be disappointed, certainly, because I know Columbus would have loved nothing more to keep Artemi Panarin, and in fact tried to along the way with a lucrative offer. But look, player gets one chance, free agency, to go where he wants to go or where he feels is the best opportunity for him. And yes, from a business standpoint, the dollars have a lot to do with that, although I know Columbus, from all intents and purposes, made a big offer. But obviously he wanted to move on, and we knew that halfway through last season, Jamie, pretty well, that this was probably going to be the last year in Columbus for Artemi Panarin, and that's why Columbus pushed all the chips in, which I respected at the time, because and then they knock off record-setting Tampa Bay Lightning during a regular season as far as wins are concerned in the history of the National Hockey League, along with those great Montreal Canadiens teams. But they went for it, and I thought they could have been one of those surprise teams to go all the way. Great series against the Boston Bruins. Now they'd maybe take a little step back with the players that did not sign again with them, and it's going to be interesting for Columbus. But you always come back with a little chip in your shoulder and saying, well, don't count us out yet just because we lost Bobrovsky or Panarin. Goaltending, those are the key, and that'll be the question mark for me.